I'm down a smoothie. All right, we are live.
Live and in color.
Yeah.
Label of the day.
Oh, that's a cool mug.
I should say Dr. Mocha Brewinski. Let's see.
Take one shot by mouth. Repeat.
Eat until hands shake.
Okay, that is like where'd you get that?
I got it for my birthday. I think it was one of those Etsy finds or something like that. I'm not sure.
I freaking love it. It's awesome.
Welcome to Blunt and Biased, everybody. I'm Dr. Katie Schneller. This is Teresa Paganini. We host Blunt Biased every other week so that you guys can stay informed. Lots of people Google stuff all the time, and we're different alternative healthcare providers that help to give you as much information as we can, both free, hence the webinar series. So I am a naturopathic doctor with Inclusive Natural Medicine in Tempe, Arizona. I've been in practice for going on 4 years now, which is great. And Teresa and I met each other in networking, and we've been tight ever since.
Yeah. Love Dr. Katie. So yeah, I'm a health coach. So Dr. Katie and I work really well together because we're both really focused and passionate about the health of our patients and clients. I come at it from a mindset perspective, work on nutrition, work on the physical movement side of things. And Dr. Katie obviously also on the nutrition side, but also with the medical side and handling everything to prevent and also heal those that are struggling already, and me just trying to ensure everybody lives their best life, mind, body, and spirit.
Yay.
Yeah.
So today, we picked label reading because I get tons of questions about this, especially when it pertains to food sensitivity panels. People have soy pop up and they're like, does it count if it says may contain soy, right? So there's tons of questions. People try and eat healthfully. I'm sure, Teresa, you get this all the time with people like, what do I do macros wise? What is a trans fat? So on and so forth. But what's been your experience with it? How much do people tend to know, and what are their questions?
Well, what I find, and especially with our shared clientele, marketing is the greatest contributor to confusion because the front of a box or a bag will say organic and natural and gluten-free, and that marketing just gives this feeling that it's healthy and good for me. Mm-hmm. And it isn't always. Just because something is organic, that doesn't stop it from being a fried food. So I had clients at one point that were struggling to lose weight. And they're like, well, we eat really healthy. And I had to explain, well, health and weight loss don't always go hand in hand. They should, but they don't always. So if you are buying organic corn chips, they're still fried corn chips.
Right.
The corn just happens to be organic. It's not a weight loss food, right? So the marketing on the packaging tends to be the biggest problem. And then, of course, when you go to the ingredient list, not understanding how the ingredients are listed, not understanding what the ingredients even mean, what it's for, what is an additive, what is from nature. Like, I think there's just, I don't think there's a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, same. There's a lot of words that aren't regulated. And so I educate on that too. The word natural, team, means nothing. Natural is not a regulated word on the label. Neither is whole grain or what are some of the other ones? Organic is supposed to be organic. If it's organic, then it's certified organic, and it is not allowed legally to say that otherwise. So in the rare occasion you catch something that the FDA, finds later, then you did your best. But a lot of these words that you see don't mean anything. Hey,
hi, Christina.
Hey, girl. So kind of what we wanted to do today, and maybe we're bad examples because we went to go get labels from our own pantry, and there's nothing bad in there because we know better. So maybe I should. Yeah. Kids have cereals and stuff. What do you think? Should we just start picking up stuff and reading?
Yeah, well, I think lesson number 1, don't focus on the marketing. Always here, I'm going to just grab this. So where am I going? This way. So right here's the front. It says organic at the top, gluten-free, all that Delino, blah, blah, blah. And this could be fantastic, but right now, all I'm seeing is marketing. I want everybody to go on this side of the label and focus there. So I do want that to be lesson 1.
Yeah.
And yeah, Dr. Katie, let's go towards lesson 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, that's a really good place to start, because the whole reason that we have this today is because of the lack of education and awareness about the front of labels and the marketing piece of it, the sticker on the front versus turning your product around. Whether you've done a food sensitivity panel with me, with somebody else, food allergies, if you know things you shouldn't have, just checking the front is not good enough. Gluten-free, vegan, those are regulated terms. Those are not allowed to be on the label unless that's actually the case. You'll still see gluten-free on water, and you know,
I love that. It was always gluten-free.
I don't know what else is in there. But one of my favorite things to educate patients on is kombucha, because not everybody drinks it, not everybody likes it, but it's not necessarily a health food unless it's low in sugar. You have to pay attention to the sugar, and keep in mind there's black tea in there, so that's caffeine. That's how most kombuchas are made, is a caffeinated black tea, which means it'll get your bowels moving, and you don't want to have it too late if you're sensitive to caffeine. And then it's got a bunch of different words that you might not be able to pronounce. And those are all of your different bacterial species. Let's see, what do we got here? Yes, exactly. Yeah, having a granddaughter, Christina says, who's allergic to dairy, soy, peanuts, and gluten, we've learned to look at the side. It's weird how many things have soy and dairy in it. Yes, it really is. Eggs are huge in everything. When I had my own food sensitivity panel, I was like, this is insane how many things I can't have. A cooked chicken from Trader Joe's had milk in it. It just, you cannot just look at the front of things. Please turn every single label around so that you can read it.
And of course, like, I love this with Christina, because this is what I battle, right? When there are multiple sensitivities, a lot of times they'll see something that says gluten or dairy free, and they're like, cool. But then, okay, but what about the soy? What about the peanut? Like, that part, they didn't say anything about that. And just because it's got those two things not in it doesn't mean it doesn't have the rest of it. You have to read that label. So Christina, good job to you guys. I'm sure you learned the hard way, but yeah, good job.
And yeah, you, especially when it's life-threatening, right? Like actual allergies, you do have to pay really special attention to that sort of thing. So this is a probiotic kombucha that I really like. Now, kombuchas aren't for everybody, like I said, right? The caffeine, the sugar content. This particular one has no added sugars, which is pretty cool. So some of the sweetness comes from fruit, like actual fruit. So always look for like the less sugar term, right? Can you see this label okay?
Yeah.
There are other ones that are available. Check out your calories, right? But if you're somebody who suffers from conditions like SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, if there's something weird going on in your gut, in other words, and you don't know what it is, and it might be due to population of bacteria that's either like, it's just not correct for a number of reasons, you don't necessarily want to have kombucha. Plus, not everybody likes the taste, but this is a good one because, sorry, we're going to play this like horrible visual label.
Where is the camera?
35 calories, 0 grams of fat, 0 milligrams of sodium, 9 carbs, 8 sugars with 0 added. And so you can see all of the label there, right? In this type of situation, if it has a lot of different words there, and I'm not even going to bother reading them, if it has a lot of words, then sometimes that's an automatic no-no. Not all the time you want to read, and that's when you start to like learn what ingredient labels mean and what the different words mean. But if you see a lot of words, sometimes that can be a hint that something is bad for you.
Yeah, and it's funny. So now that you said that, I had a item that I was enjoying, and I forget what, I think I was looking at the label for one of our clients to see, okay, is this something that they can have? And I was like, holy hell, that is a hell of an ingredient list. What am I always read the ingredient list. Why am I having this? But like 20 of the ingredients were vitamins.
Right.
So then I was like, ow, there's literally 4 ingredients in this thing, and the rest is just vitamins. So it's a really long list, but it's you know, not awful. It's just long because of the vitamin that they add in.
Yeah. Show us one of your foods, or if you have another tip. I'm going to check my thermostat right to the side here. I'm right here.
Okay. Actually, I'm just going to ask you a question. So you were talking about sugar and talking about the kombucha, and I am one of those people that can't stand kombucha. I am one of those weird health coaches that I don't drink green tea. I don't do kombucha. Like, I don't like it. I'm not going to do it. I'll find health in other ways. But with the sugar content, because a lot of people, when they're looking at the labels, the labels they can read just fine, but they have no idea. So is it good? Is it not good? So
Mhm.
generally, what do you recommend? I know what I recommend. What do you recommend sugar wise when you're looking at a label, or do you?
It really depends on the food. So like for yogurts, a goal is 6 grams or less, which is really hard to find. A lot of times you'll see like 9, 12, 20. You've got to double check what's in the actual yogurt, because then people are like, oh, I have yogurt. It's good for you. You know, I eat really healthfully, same thing. So you have to be really diligent as a healthcare provider and be like, okay, that's great. Like, you know, what do you have? And people are shocked because they've been misinformed. But I would say sugar content wise, in general, per serving of certain things, I mean, this is, you know, very rudimentary and not necessarily the situation every time, but 6 grams or less. If you're pre-diabetic, you need to be more strict than that. If you're keto, you've got to be more strict than that, right? So it doesn't apply to everybody, but kind of depends on your goals and like where your body's at the time.
Sure.
That's a better answer.
Gotcha. Yeah, I typically tell people, and I don't count natural foods. So I don't look at fruits. I don't look at anything from nature, but anything that's created, I say single digits. If you're in the single digits,
Cool.
You're most likely golden, because very few people are living in the single digits. So that's a nice moderate. You can still enjoy it. It still has some good flavor, but you're not killing yourself with sugar.
Yeah.
It's usually where I'm at. Yeah.
Do you
All
have
right. So what's another one?
Another food that I've got?
Well, you know what? I'm gonna bring one up because I think you'll see this one a lot. And luckily, it normally does explain what it is, but it's just an example of one of those crazy words you'll see in the ingredient list. And you're going to have to help me because I'm probably not saying it correctly, but tocopherols.
Yeah, that's right.
Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you see it all the time. Now, that's just vitamin E.
Yeah.
Right? So this isn't bad.
Nope.
But they say if you can't pronounce it, you probably shouldn't eat it.
Yeah, well, probably, right? And that's the whole reason that we're doing things like this, is so to help educate you. Maybe what we should do at some point is like provide a updated list for what certain words mean. And, you know, like, do you know that everything that ends in OL is a sugar? Maltol, sorbitol, all that stuff, like those are all sugars. If it says syrup, it's a sugar. Even if it doesn't say cane sugar, it's sugar.
Yeah, so and even without the OL. So Z-bars, the kids love these, right? And they're not bad, but here we go, right? So we've got the oat blend, blah, blah, blah. But then there's tapioca syrup. I'm not wearing my glasses. This could take a while. So we have a sugar. We've got fig paste, sugar, right? We've got sunflower oil, not sugar, but then we've got cane sugar, cane syrup. Let me see what else. All right, so right there's just four sugar ingredients, and there's, I think, only 8 to 10 ingredients in the entire thing.
Cliff bars are not my favorite because of that reason right there. There's the majority of it is sugar, and so bars that I like more are Lara bars. They don't taste like your sweet granola bar covered in chocolate, though, so it is a kind of a taste thing. But that brings us to a good point, which is that something super basic that a lot of people don't know on ingredient labels is the order of the list is an order of most within the food to least within the food. So what that means is, for those bars, for example, the first ingredient was oats. That means that's the most ingredient that's in there. The next was brown rice syrup, right?
Some kind of syrup, tapioca syrup, yeah.
The second highest, the second heaviest ingredient is brown rice syrup. It's sugar. And then sugar, and then the third sugar, and the fourth.
Yeah, like it was a lot of sugar at the very top of the list, not at the bottom of the list. Yeah.
Yeah. So as you're reading along, if you're uncertain about like, well, how much of this is really in there? If it's the last ingredient, probably not that much. Let's do one of my favorite pretzel alternatives, because something that I'm passionate about, the reason that I'm doing this is because I want you to feel like you can have treats and you can have things that are delicious. And so sometimes it's just a matter of finding alternatives that you like. So for example, this is one of my favorite brands, From the Ground Up. They make cauliflower pretzels. They make butternut squash pretzels. They do sticks. They do all sorts of other alternatives. And while this sounds gross, they taste really yummy. They don't taste like squash. I don't love squash. In fact, I kind of really dislike squash, but these taste really yummy. And so on the ingredients list, you'll see that the main ingredient, well, I'll just read it because it's, you know, we'll play that.
We'll be able to say it.
cassava, which is like cassava flour. It's a different like blend of root. Butternut squash, non-GMO cornstarch, non-GMO expeller pressed canola oil. Not the best, but that's,
Not
you
the
know,
worst.
it's a fried thing, not the worst. Salt, and then a vegetable blend that contains spinach, broccoli, carrot, tomato, beet, shiitake mushroom, turmeric, cinnamon, and then the final ingredient is yeast, and that's most of the time what raises them. So Christina asked where you get them. I get these from Sprouts. I don't know what you have over where you're at. Whole Foods, just any kind of like more like a healthier grocery store, they'll tend to have these. They might sell them on Amazon even. I'm not sure.
Sure. Well, because Amazon's connected with Whole Foods, I'm sure.
Yeah. So yeah, you can probably find them on there, but they're certified vegan, right? We need to look for these labels. Certified gluten-free. So for people that are gluten-free that miss pretzels, you can do alternative brands. Yeah, so you don't have to live a life that's sad if you're just trying to eat healthfully, right? Food is so important. Teresa works with people with, on relationships with food all the time. So it doesn't have to be that you're depriving yourself.
Oh, you have to eat with joy.
Yeah, eat with joy.
Eat with joy. All right, so I'm going to pull out one. These are not necessarily healthy, which is why I grabbed them. So here's one that I think is highly contradictory. Palm oil.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
The orangutans.
Say again?
The orangutans.
The orangutans.
Yeah, palm oil, the whole like controversy in the last like 5 to 10 years or so, I don't remember exactly when it was, is that the harvesting of the trees and everything for palm oil was killing orangutan homes. And so orangutans were dying.
Oh, see, this is why I don't watch the news. It breaks my heart, but I also don't eat things with a lot of palm oil. So that makes me feel better. But that's awful. So I guess my thing with the palm oil, right? So it was the same as coconut oil forever, right? Coconut oil is extremely unhealthy because it's a saturated fat. And, science has since learned the chain is molecularly different than your typical animal saturated fat. So palm oil, very similarly, talk about palm oil and your ideas on health, not healthy. Is it okay in the ingredient list? Is it not?
I mean, if everything else in there is okay, then I'm not going to say don't do it. But if that's in there with a list of 5 different versions of sugar and some other grain and there's no other health benefits and maybe there's something else like potato starch or something in there, depending on what it is, then no overall real health benefit, just avoid it. I don't ever cook with palm oil. I don't even know where you buy that, if it's at a normal grocery store or not. I cook with particular oils depending on what their like heat tolerance is and stuff. But in general, not a fan of palm oil just because there's so many others that are a little bit better. But depends on kind of the rest of the ingredients, I think is what ultimately determines my opinion on that. How about you?
So I'm not a huge believer in palm oil, but at the same time, I kind of see it the way I do coconut oil, right? Mm-hmm. It is a plant-based oil. It is going to be higher in saturated fat. Mm-hmm. I feel like they're trying to create a buttery, crispy product that requires a specific kind of oil to create that. And so I understand why palm oil's in it. So it's one of those things where it's like, I don't believe in using coconut oil exclusively. I don't believe in that, but I do believe in, when it makes sense, sure, throw it in there. When I make Thai food and there's already coconut in there, maybe I'm going to cook with the coconut oil because it just helps enhance the flavor, but create variety, avocado oil, olive oil, right? And to your point, the flash or the burn point of the oil matters when you're cooking. Inside of ingredients, when you're baking or anything like that, sometimes it's unavoidable, and I try not to do extremes.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm not going to say palm oil is awful for you, but just, find your balance with that. And anything that's too high in fat, I would just avoid entirely. Yeah, avocado oil. I do like that one. All right, so here's
what else you got?
So sodium bicarbonate.
Yeah.
Good or bad?
It's in everything.
Sodium bicarbonate, isn't that like baking soda?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's no big deal. I think mostly I'm just saying, like, do people know what this stuff is? Let's see. Oh, sodium pyrophosphate. Right? So that one we may want to avoid because neither one of us knows what the hell that is.
version, I think. I mean, that's, they keep coming up with different words for different foods, and maybe that one's been around a long time, but I think it's just salt.
Yeah. And then more sodium metabosulfite. So like this is the kind of stuff where you just kind of have to look and be like they've got confectionery fat. What the hell's a confectionery fat?
I don't know,
Right?
but
Like why is this even palm fat, BHA, and BHT?
yeah, this is the thing. If healthcare providers don't know what it is, you don't know what it is, just keep it out of your mouth. Yeah.
Right? Like there's better. And I think that's the point. Like you read the ingredient list because you have no idea what the hell that is, and you don't know until you read the ingredients because they're not going to put that on their marketing. We've got confectionery fat in our crackers.
Right. It's like, what even? It's gross.
Right.
Let's do teas because they are very popular, and there's a number of issues with different types of teas. So one of the main concerns about teas, not loose leaf like this is, I don't know if you can hear that, is the plastics that are within the tea bags themselves. I don't 1,000% avoid tea bags. I think most of the time there's more benefit in the tea than there is harm from the plastic in the bag. But if you can help it, then do loose leaf. And the way that you can put loose leaf in teas, of course, is to get metal strainers. And so most of the time those are okay. They aren't causing any harm to you. Organic is great, not always possible. One of my favorite local tea shops is called Loose Leaf Tea Market. It used to be called Nick's Loose Leaf, and they do sell packages and they sell little exploratory kits of little bits of teas, but they have these really beautiful blends. The one that I happened to grab from work is called Lush Lavender. And so it has your instructions for how to steep. And it says 100% certified organic ingredients, butterfly blue pea flower, lemongrass, lavender, lemon verbena, and hibiscus. It also says, for knowledge, non-GMO, gluten-free, vegan, chemical-free, no artificial flavors, and cruelty-free. So lots of benefits to teas. You want to be kind of picky with some of your brands. I know of some that are more commonly found if you didn't want to do a private place like Loose Leaf Tea Market is Gaia. I went there to the farm during med school training and saw all of the different processing and purification that they did for all of their teas and their herbs, supplements, things like that. It is beautiful. It's wonderful. So Gaia is a pretty safe bet. I also like Numi and Puka, and traditional medicinals organic are some of my favorite teas. But you already said you don't do teas, Teresa, or is it just you don't do green tea?
I don't do tea.
Why?
I don't like the flavor at all. I don't like the smell. I don't like the flavor.
Yeah.
Nothing about that.
It's so funny. Did anybody watch Ted Lasso, where he makes fun of like how much they have like cardboard water, he'll call it? Like they just have tea all the time and not coffee. Christina said me either, I think.
Yeah. My dad used to drink tea. My grandmother used to drink tea. Yeah. My mom had a spurt of tea drinking, and I was like, what am I missing? And I keep trying, and I'm like,
yeah.
I just don't like it.
So many different flavors, like and so many benefits to herbs. But the thing is, with herbs, like most of the time they do have to build up in the system unless they're a quicker acting herb. They're not always safe. You and I had a conversation about tea or like the ingredients, senna, which is for constipation. There's a tea called Smooth Move, which is super common, but you can't just do anything without consulting a healthcare provider necessarily, because senna is habit forming. And so if you use that to help regulate your bowels, daily for months and months and months, eventually your body's going to become dependent on that tea to have a bowel movement. So, not everything is safe out there. So even teas.
So we've only got 5 minutes left. I'm going to do a little switch, if you're okay with it, and talk a little bit about the nutrition labels versus the ingredients list.
For sure.
So from a nutrition label perspective, right? There's, and I'm just going to pull the Cliff Bars out again, right? So we've got the fat, and the fat's broken down: cholesterol, sodium, carbohydrates, and protein. And the carbohydrates are broken down as well. So what recommendations do you give when looking at the label, what to look for?
Everybody's on different diets and on different, goals. And so there really isn't a one fix for all, but something that I do tell, especially people that either have a family history of high cholesterol, or they have high cholesterol or pre-diabetes or any kind of heart condition, things like that. You want to make sure things like your trans fats and your saturated fats have a big fat 0 on them. I don't think that all fat is bad. I don't think you should try to be eating like no calories all the time, and that your sugar should say 0 all the time. But if you've got a blood pressure issue, right, check your sodium. But yeah, I mean, it's really hard to say just for everybody. How about you?
So for me, the big recommendation I have for people is know what your daily allotment is of, let's say, calories, where you should be calorically, where you should be sodium wise, where you should be macro wise, and then follow the law of worth it. So when you look at a label and see that something is higher than fat, so let's say it's in the double digits of fat, and you're like, okay, so I know I'm going to eat 60 grams of fat in a day, and this has 25 in one snack.
Yeah.
So that's going to leave me with only 35 for the rest of the day. Am I cool with that? Is this worth it? And at that point, you make that decision, right? Same with calories. And this is especially important when you go out to eat. Sodium, if you can find the nutrition list, the nutrition menu for a restaurant before going, you may shock the ever-living hell out of yourself thinking you're going someplace healthy, and then look at the sodium. A lot of salads have almost 2,000 milligrams of sodium. That is the max per day you really technically should be having, and you're doing it in a meal. So
salad, what you think is healthy.
Right. So that's where on the nutrition label, to Dr. Katie's point, there is no one size fits all, but there is your size. And so if you understand what you should be having on a daily basis, and then with each label, taking a look to determine, is this worth it? If that amount of sodium, am I willing to restrict the sodium the rest of the day? Or for this amount of carbohydrates or protein or whatever it is, none of these things are bad as long as you play nutritional Tetris throughout the day based on what you decide to eat at that moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Christina says salad can have more calories than a cheeseburger and fries. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Those really yummy fried chicken salads with the egg and the cheese and the ranch. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard when you're out at restaurants. It's really tough. And so I try to tell pretty much all patients, like, try to minimize how much you're eating out. I understand we're all busy people. Let me know what I can do to help you with meal prep. If you need assistance, this is who you contact, named Teresa Paganini, and she helps you come up with meal plans, right? But
and teach you where to eat out, where you won't destroy all of your efforts.
Yeah, exactly. It's not always better just because it's PETA jungle, not to hate on them, or I'm not sure. I can't think of anything else, but it's not always better.
Yep. So true. So true.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, cool. So any questions, we've got a minute, any questions that we didn't answer that's burning in that brain of yours that we can answer before we wrap it up?
Not sure yet.
When we do eat, I drink water on the way there. And when I get there, drink water to help. Yeah, Christina, great. Definitely helps to flush the sodium and all the gunk in restaurant food. So far, I don't see any questions. So I guess in summary, Dr. Katie, when we were saying don't get taken in by marketing, make sure you're looking at the actual ingredients. The marketing is meant to sell you, not educate you. Ingredient labels educate you. The ingredients are listed from most in the food to least in the food. So recognize that. If you don't understand what an ingredient is, you can either ask Dr. Katie and I. You can always reach us through our social media channels. If you work with one of us, obviously you have our information. And
see you soon, Michelle. Yay. It's so nice for you to join. I haven't even met you yet. Thanks for joining.
Right. Woo.
Yeah.
And if it's something where you're like, really don't know, and there's too many of the I don't knows, avoid the food.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to the actual nutrition label, know where you are supposed to be on a daily basis, and then follow the law of worth it. What is worth it? Am I willing to play nutritional Tetris with whatever I'm looking at on that label the rest of the day? And then make your decision from there.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. I think you hit everything. Hopefully that's helpful, everybody. Thank you, Christina, for being here. Thanks, Michelle. Anybody else who is on here, love it. Anyone watching later, like Teresa said, let us know if you have questions about things. I'm sure that, as we just continue these every other week podcasts, that little things come up here and there that we don't think to address because we're just trying to give you the general overview of different topics. And but let us know if you have questions, if you have desire for other topics. Happy to address those. Thanks for watching.
Awesome. All right, guys. Blunt and biased, out.
Out. Thanks, nerds.